Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on Hot 702.5FM.com.
Hello, hello, hello. I think we are live and in color. Welcome to another Thursday edition of Let's Get It Together. We are at December 1st, 2022. We are quickly wrapping up the year, and I am so glad to be here with you. Let me just say I have been introducing my stand-up, and I start with a breath, taking a deep breath in and exhale. That's my shit, y'all. Like, this is my theme song now. This is how I'm rolling because it's a lot of stuff going on out there. So anyway, it's Let's Get It Together on Hot 702.5 FM with your host, J9. And Jezzy is tuning right on in, right on time, the way the good Lord would have her. Let me bring her on into the room.
Hey, honey, my apologies.
That's all right. It was just on time. We just had a nice little intro. I am so glad to be back in studio, honey.
I want to be here.
But you're here. Like, we took a break, and it felt like a real break. This is family.
Yeah, it was a real break. I felt like
Carice sent some hearts. I really want to say to her, thank you so much. We are so proud of you. We are so appreciative of you,
Yes,
your efforts,
absolutely,
your talents, your aspirations, accomplishing your dreams. I'm going to give Carice Jackson a shout out. Her engagement, love is around her.
And her
Chime
black
on in
girl
there.
magic, her black girl magic is real, and I appreciate her, and I admire her, and she's like,
You make me
gold.
cry.
I mean, she's gold for me. She is absolutely gold for me.
You make me
and
cry.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because
Yeah, because
up with this old lady
girl,
madness, and I
don't play. Stop it. Stop it. We are not going to do the old lady stuff today. We're not going to do it. But we are at, we are at month 6 with Let's Get It Together.
Yeah, congratulations to that too, darling. And I appreciate you for even, because in all honesty, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing this. You tapped me on the shoulder and was like, sister, let's do this. We got this.
Yeah.
And, we are two beautiful, black, intelligent women, and our voices need to be heard. And I was like, all right, sister, I'm with you.
Right.
I am with you.
Well, thank you for the accompaniment because I feel like, J9 and Jezzy is just the shit. I really do. I feel like we're bringing healthy information, and we got a great show for you tonight. Welcome back from Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has thrown their food away. There is nothing in your refrigerator from Thursday, November 24th that should be in your refrigerator unless you are disabled and you need some help cleaning it out.
I got a bookmark. Can I just say, my mama told me last night, it ain't been 7 days. I was like, okay.
Oh, did she say it has not been?
Yeah, she told me it has not been 7 days, and she's been doing just fine all her life, eating food all this time. And I was like, okay, Mom. But
I will say this to Mom. Mom, if you're listening, and when you listen and listen in, I will say this. You are the chef.
Right.
which means you are responsible for most of the food that probably went on out on that, and it's your household. You make your decision. However,
Right.
for the rest of us who have not made it past 55, we have not endured. You know what I'm saying? That we can't do it no more.
Right.
7 days. 4 is your maximum, and at that point, it is freeze or toss. And
Freezer
everything ain't
top.
freezable, honey. You can't freeze all them potato sweet potato pies. It's not appropriate. They will be shingled up with ice.
Right. Well, how bad it be
No.
freezing hers?
Well, you can freeze them to an extent. Most people, and do you have a deep freezer? Is it, you just,
Mhm.
I just don't know that the consistency of some of these pies when you freeze them, when you unthaw them, are, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're gonna have that refrigerator taste in
They
many
gonna taste
cases,
a little
because
weird.
most of us don't wrap the food even in the way that it's supposed to be frozen.
Appropriately. Right. That makes sense.
Throw that
That
food
makes sense.
out, mom.
Mom, if you're listening.
And I think the biggest deal is we cook such abundance
Yeah,
that
we
it should
do.
be gone. And if it wasn't gone, it should have been given to some needy families type
Some
shit. You
needy
know what I'm saying?
people. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I just
Cause she
don't
was,
know.
cause last night she was like, "Oh yeah, I was just nibbling on some turkey," and I was like, "Mama, let's go on ahead and get rid of the food." And she got offended and was like, I've been doing this, and she will be 80 in March, so she feel like she has a clear handle
On
on
her
what she
situation.
can, what she
Listen,
cannot tolerate.
mom has paid the cost to be the boss.
Right.
And so, if that's what she wants to do, let her ride with it. You know what you supposed to be doing and ain't supposed to be doing, and what you shouldn't be eating, because you'll be the one with the stomach ache. You
Right.
can't sing that same song.
Yeah, you can't. See, we
No,
can't.
you
We
cannot.
ain't rock like that, but that's okay. My mama be trying it. We love her.
She do be trying it. I could
Yeah.
tell mom how. Never mind. So, how are you? You back in
um,
town?
I'm back in town. I'm glad we did take off last week. I was a lot under the weather, and I thought my healing process was a lot further along, and it is. I feel better. I
Mm-hmm.
don't look too bad. However,
You don't. Your presentation
uh,
is what it need to be.
I'm not 100%, and sometimes when I'm moving around too much, it tells me, girl, settle down. Settle
Mm-hmm.
down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened this evening. So that's why I'm still remote, but I should be back at 100% by next week for sure. I'm doing all the right stuff. So it's just taking its time to move
Okay.
through me.
All right.
But
I'm not mad at that. Just well, and travel is can be hard on the body.
yes, it
Travel can
is.
be rough. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And even if it's just from city to city, right next to each other type deal, it can still be rough because there still is an unsettling. And then we don't stop to think that a lot of times the things that we're exposed to have a lot to do with a change of the environment
Yeah,
that you're
you're
in.
absolutely right. I
So your
agree with
healing
that
will
as well.
probably expedite because you're home in terms of
Right. Yeah,
grounding, because it's
right.
really about the grounding and getting back to some of your regimens that you do at your house.
In my house, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
I had a toothache, and so it just was like when it rained, it poured. I got a toothache, and I know that
Oh,
probably lowered my immune system and just opened me up. It was pretty bad. So
that
yeah, it just
toothache
when it
ain't to be
rained, it poured.
played with.
They sure ain't. I done had two babies, and I tell you, I done had kidney stones.
Don't do it. We ain't gonna. We
But
ain't
I'm
gonna reveal.
telling you,
But comparison, yeah.
they all like neck and neck. They
Hmm.
are the pain is man. Mm-mm. But
Well,
other than that,
welcome
how you
back.
doing? Thank you.
Right,
I appreciate it. Love you. Glad to be back. How you doing? And how was your Thanksgiving? I know you traveled too over the holiday.
I did. I went to my hideaway.
Okay.
Um, I'm doing well. I am. We're
Okay.
gonna talk a little bit about some of the shit I'm fighting.
Okay.
Um, and but other than that, when I landed, we went to a spot, an Italian spot, because Italian's one of my top items of choice. And
Food of
so
choice.
it was
Hmm.
called Frutellas, fruit something like that.
Okay.
Um, fret You know me and these names, girl. I need to learn a foreign language or something so I can get my L's right.
Okay.
Fratelli's. It's
Fatalities.
called Fratelli's. Um, I ordered a some dish. They have a Fratelli sauce that is. They don't tell you what it is. I guess it's their secret sauce, but it's basically like a garlic, buttery consistency. It's not real. It's truly a sauce because it's not thick.
Okay.
And so I had that
Okay.
over chicken with mushrooms. Oh my
Oh,
God, the
that sounds
flavor was
good.
off the chain. The Caesar salad was great. Caesar is common, but the way people make it
Right. That's
can
what differentiates between a good one and a great one and it was just a salad.
yeah. You don't even want to ask for more. You're just like,
Right.
okay, I eat this lettuce, but but it was a great Caesar salad. They allowed me to taste a few red wines. Let me tell you something.
Ooh.
I did a
Ooh.
reel on my Facebook, J9 Roberts, about this
Hmm.
restaurant because they let me sample wine. I wasn't sure about what I
Okay.
wanted. I
Oh,
just
that
didn't
was
want
nice.
bitter. I wanted
Right.
something sweet, but not too sweet. I didn't want a rosé. I wanted. He gave me three wines to sample. One was brand new.
Okay.
And we're talking about customer service. When we talk about 5 star, when we give them a
Yeah.
5 star rating, when we give them a nice shout out over the air, this is what we're talking about. And then once
Yep.
I told him I was a foodie, he
Oh.
really went over the top. I was like, oh, I'm getting my plugs.
That's
What were we going to
funny.
say?
No, I was gonna say that usually the higher end restaurants, so that immediately told me when you said they let you sample the wines, that immediately told me that you were at a nice, either high
Hmm.
end restaurant or family oriented restaurant that really believes in their wines pairing well with their meals and stuff like that.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
We
honey.
ain't been doing this shit yesterday. We've been doing this.
We've been doing this. Yes.
That's
You
exactly
did
right. That was exactly right. So we knew the bill was going to be, exactly high end because
right.
we ordered high end stuff. So
Hmm.
I wound up ordering a bottle of wine, and it was just great service, great atmosphere. Um, and you know, I'm particular when I say these kind of things, but I think it's important to know the dynamics. We were the only black couple in the restaurant.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's
And I
well, you
say
ordered.
that because, I think it's important. First of all, I think it's important that we learn to, behave ourselves when we know we're not in our own element. We should be behaving
Hmm.
ourselves anyway. But there's a certain class that you feel you have to uphold in case somebody want to act right, act wrong, or they want to act
Mm,
up. I don't know how to
okay.
say that, but it's like you gangster, but you classed up.
See,
You so don't act
naturally,
stupid.
it's a natural thing for us, though. I know
It's a
for
natural
me and
thing.
you, it is,
It's a natural thing.
but
Yeah,
some.
we got an eyebrow up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so anyway, I give that. I really do truly just on customer service atmosphere. Very quiet, very intimate. Food was great. My partner ordered a sea bass with that same sauce on top, and they had these noodles. They look dry, but
Uh-huh. By
by
far.
far,
Oh, they
by
were made
far, they
well.
were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were sautéed or in that fruit tail sauce, that what you call it, fratelli sauce. So that was that. I got stuck in the airport on Thanksgiving, and so I'm crying
Ooh.
trying to get
Ooh.
home because the flight was delayed, and I know better.
Yeah.
Flight
They
attendant, I
will.
know better. The flight was delayed, and I took that as I can relax. I got time now. I ain't got to rush, right?
Yeah.
Listen, folks, when you fly in low budget airlines,
Oh Lord.
and you need to check a bag,
Oh
they
Lord.
enforce get wherever you are. I don't care if it's Ohio, Cleveland with the tiny ass airport. I don't care if it's Stockton with that tiny ass one
Oh,
airplane.
you did. Right.
You get there 2 hours before the flight leaves, for real, because they will
Right.
close baggage on your ass, and they're not opening it back up because you cried.
Nope.
My tears didn't
Absolutely.
work. My retired badge didn't work. My airline crew badge didn't work. None of that worked. They was like,
Oh
no, look, check this
God.
out, chick.
Oh wow.
Standard. You get here 2 hours. So I'm crying. I'm like, well, what's the next flight? Well, the next flight had a layover that was ridiculous. So
Okay.
it was about deciding if I wanted to stay past Thanksgiving or get home at midnight, which is
Okay.
still past
Oh
Thanksgiving. So
wow.
needless
Okay.
to say, I didn't cook there, but I
Right.
did cook in Ohio. I did a little something up there, and it did the job. Cause I'm not. Look, I am pretty tired of macaroni, cheese, greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes. I'm tired of that. Like
You tired
traditionally
of it?
black and soul, I get it, but I'm
Right.
tired of it. So
Mm.
after 2 plates, I was good. I came
It's a
home and
done
made a little
deal, huh?
stuffing,
Yeah, I feel
and
you.
so that was that.
It can only go so far. I think for us on Thanksgiving, my family, they don't care. I wasn't feeling well, but I still had to get in the kitchen wearing a mask and gloves in the kitchen. I know I see that look. You looked at me real wrong. However, um, yeah, after that one day, I don't even think I ate a whole meal that day, and I didn't even eat it the next day.
Mm,
I didn't.
okay.
But mind you, Jesse didn't feel well, so I wasn't at my best. So
Okay. Well, Thanksgiving is over. We are
Thanksgiving.
now entering into this holiday called Christmas, which I think sometimes is a mess. I so throw away that Thanksgiving food, and now we on the Christmas, and you're probably gonna many families are gonna be making that same meal over again. I don't know
Ooh,
how,
don't
but
want it.
usually that's when you switch up and do the gumbo. But be easy on the
Gumbo
seafood,
is
y'all. The seafood
right.
isn't getting the stamp of approval it's supposed to get. We raking and staking and stealing all this seafood out the seas and out the oceans because everybody's on the seafood thing. So I ain't telling you what not to do, but you might want to switch it up. That's when you throw in some red beans, or you throw in those black eyed peas for luck and all that stuff. Switch it up. Switch it
Mm,
up.
cabbage.
Switch
Throw
it
some
up.
cabbage on the grill. Ain't no
Get,
why y'all ain't making cabbage and cornbread. That's one of my
hell,
favorite
you can
meals.
make me some ribs and some damn I don't know. Let me get into something real quick, because we're gonna talk about the Christmas rush and the Christmas anxiety, and we're gonna talk
Okay.
about some of that. But I want to talk a little bit about GMO,
Mm.
because last month, early in the month, we bought you a breakdown of beef,
Yes, I
right?
recall specifically. Absolutely.
The grades of beef, how to,
Hmm.
what's best for grilling, all that good stuff. And we talked
Right.
about how it's a little bit about production and
Right.
knowing the difference in how these cows are raised and the hormones they use. I wanted to talk about chicken today. I want us to touch on that because
The chickens that don't look like chickens no more, they look like damn geese or something huge. Big old chicken legs that just can't be real chicken.
it's
Or
disturbing me.
so altered and just
Not only is
yeah.
and so because of some of that alteration, it doesn't even cook the same.
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't taste the same in all honesty. And it doesn't cook the same. I don't even know those real big thighs or those real big legs, they don't cook all the way through, or they just be, oh, I can't
Your
stand it.
chicken now seems to require, without question, um, a thermometer
Yeah.
to get through the tough meat, the thick meat, and get to that bone and make sure that thing is cooked all the way. These breasts
Hmm.
are out of control.
Yeah, they
I have
are.
to. I can slice them 3 times and slam them with a meat cleaver, and
Mm,
it's not. You know what I'm saying? They're
yeah.
too thick. They're too big. So let's talk a little bit about GMO. We're not going to talk as much about how it affects us. We're going to leave that for another conversation
Yeah.
quickly thereafter. But I started looking into, you know, I heard this thing called layers and breeders or boilers.
Mm,
Layers and boilers. And I was like, well, what is that? That's how they're
okay.
labeling the chicken. They're either
Layers.
layers, Layers, yes, girl. Layers,
Okay.
as in the egg layers.
The egg layer, right?
Or they're broilers. And I was like, well,
Which
what
is what is
does
that?
that mean? Right.
Oh, let me look that up.
It's Dr. Frankenstein, nigga. That's what that means. Excuse
Oh
me.
my.
Okay, so in Dr. Frankenstein's lab, they are modifying these chickens so that they lay, as the layers, they need them to lay 250 eggs a year, 250 eggs per year.
Mm-mm.
250 eggs per year versus the prior would only lay 2 dozen.
Oh, wow. Oh, they kill they ooh.
Let's talk about it.
What
So these
about it?
layers are, first of all, they don't grow fast enough to be meat.
Okay.
So they go in this layer category.
So they go into the layer category. Okay.
And then they
Interesting.
pump them up in whatever way they need to, whatever they modify them so that they can produce up to 250 eggs a year. And that is, um, and so they're miserable. Many of those
Okay.
chickens are miserable their entire life because just like the ones that are pumped up and they got these big breasts, so
Right.
they're leaning over, they're heavy, they're big, and it's affecting all their muscular systems, and that's what they're feeding us, right?
Right. Right.
When the males are born and they can't produce, they're instantly killed off after they hatch.
Really?
What you
What?
mean, comedian? What you mean, lip lock? Add you? Add you where?
I don't know what you coming on here talking
You trying
about.
to get on the conversation? Yeah, girl.
That's
So
wild.
they don't have enough meat, and then all the non-egg producers, which are the males that are bred, they're killed as soon after they hatch. So there's a chicken out there, a chicken coop, that all they
Mm.
do is lay eggs, but they don't just lay normal eggs. These are 250 eggs plus per year versus, you know what I'm saying? So that's the first problem. So then the broilers, they've been doing this since about 1950.
Okay.
And what they do is the average chicken weighs about 3 kilograms. That is double
Okay.
the size from 60 years ago.
Yeah, that's why our chickens look crazy now. That's wild. That's exactly why they looking crazy now.
That's why
Just
they are deformed. Okay,
right.
that's why we're getting these. It's out of control. It's really out of
See,
control.
and that brings me back to if those chickens are miserable, laying eggs, and we're consuming something that is energetically probably unhappy, and they're transferring that into their what they're laying, and we're consuming it. If you're not praying over your food and making sure that you do some energy cleanse before you consume your food, you might be running around here wondering why you mad all the time or
Mad and
miserable all the
sick
time.
and all that. I
Mad and
mean,
sick.
Lip
You
Lock
said
said, "F them chickens."
right.
You're correct. Because
Yeah,
we're gonna
you
let's dive
absolutely
in.
right.
Let's dive in. And so, thank you, listeners. You are tuning in live on Hot 702.5 FM. I tell you to call in, but I think we don't have a lot of juice coming through. But I would like some participation in the comments. Let us know you're present. Let us know how you feel about this GMO. You know what I'm saying? Talk to us. We like the feedback. We want to know we on
Right.
point. We know we on point. Some of y'all just in denial because you can't get away from the chicken. But I'm gonna
Right.
tell you a little bit about what's going
Because
on.
black folks and they chicken.
So what happens is um, their breasts are 80% larger, not 50, not 10. They're 80% larger than they were before, and they're larger in 6 weeks versus 15 weeks.
Wow. Them chewy
So we're not
chickens be. GMO ones. He ain't lying though.
Them chewy
Lip
chickens,
lock. Those
baby.
chewy chickens be straight GMO. And if you got to chew it too much, ooh, I don't even want it. I don't even want it.
It's bad. It's bad in these streets, guys. So now we've got these chickens sped up in growth. We know that, but they're sped up by 15 weeks versus 6 weeks versus the 15 weeks. But they have a lot of health problems. So these chickens are suffering for profit and breeding.
Oh wow.
Some of these little titty chicks need that chicken juice to pump their breasts up.
Boy.
It ain't worked for me.
Yeah.
So
What?
I don't know, Lip. I don't know.
Oh,
But so let's talk about that. There's more than 8 billion birds that are raised and killed in the US every year. And it didn't really say a whole lot about why they're killed every year, but I'm assuming it has to do with the fact that they are not producing.
they're not.
They don't fall in either category of a layer. They're not laying eggs, and they're not eating. I mean, they're not for consumption.
For consumption. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost certain the bar can't be that high for what they decide to pass on to the public sometimes with the way that they try to mass produce. The bar cannot be that high.
And it's not, and it's allowed because
Yeah.
the USDA has decided that there needs to be no labeling on that. So we're all guinea pigs.
Yeah.
They don't have to label that as GMO. Yeah, you bet penguin meat better and it's free. I'm so hot. You know what? I am not going to be inviting you. You still in the show, man.
Penguin meat. What the hell? Oh, pigeon meat. Oh Lord, I don't know why
Oh,
I said pigeon. I said
I
penguin
did
meat.
too.
Oh Lord.
He said, "I'm out." No, stay. We need you to stay. So, so listen. Let's understand what GMO is. It's the genetic modified, basically is an alteration of the DNA. It's an alteration of the machinery of living organisms like animals and plants.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
let's establish that.
they do it to
And
our
so,
veggies too.
and they do it to our vegetables for the same exact reasons that they do for the chickens in terms of mass
Production.
production and profit and being able to charge you more because it's now larger. Because to us Americans, we think larger is better.
And it lasts longer. Whatever they're altering
Girl, I ain't never
the
seen
genetic.
milk last 5 weeks.
No, right? He said fake cabbage fire. No, it's not. That fake cabbage is horrible. And
Cooked
I've
right,
seen it.
cooked
I had it
right,
before.
cooked right. That thing might be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, cooked right, but I'm like, that
So,
cabbage that be looking like a plastic bag.
and so what they're doing is they're transferring DNA from one property to another.
Hmm.
So when you talk about these large, gigantic salmons that they don't have to tell us is genetically altered, they've integrated it with another line of salmons and maybe another kind of, you know what I'm saying? They've
Yeah.
taken 2 or 3, they put them together, and now you've got jaws, you know? It's a hot mess in this food industry that we are paying
Yeah, it
so much
is.
for.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it
We
is.
can't stress enough that we have to change our diet. So when I say I'm tired of mac and cheese and you know these things being our sides as black people, I know it's soul food and it's comfort food, but it's also diabetes food in
Yes,
some
it is.
instances. You know what
And
I'm saying? The
other
pastas and they're not. If these restaurants
other
aren't
stuff
buying
too.
from their local growers and then they know their local growers are on point,
Right.
you don't know what you're getting.
That's right.
And that's the end. That's it. That's all. So as a result of altering the machinery of living organisms, I know they're working on humans. They way past that on working on us.
Yeah.
That transfers the allergies, the toxins, the loss of nutrients, the cancer, and more, and just as important, your immune suppressions.
Your immune suppression.
Because they're making these antibiotic resistant markers, so it's useless. when it comes to
Yep.
antibiotics, and it's transferred to us. And
Right.
so now you wonder why you're sick and antibiotics aren't working. They aren't
Hmm.
working because the food that they're producing are resistant.
Right. Yeah, our food has a lot less nutritional value than it did decades ago. And yeah, I remember something a while ago about iron. A lot of women are iron deficient because we used to be able to get iron or something, some kind of minerals from our food that we don't get
Listen,
absolutely
they
anymore.
used to encourage, you're right. They used to encourage steak a lot, red meat
Right.
for your iron, other
Hmm.
veggies too.
Right.
But red meat was a huge one.
Okay.
Once you alter the steak,
Yes.
the beef,
Right.
that's the
Right.
immune suppression. That
Hmm.
is, so you're right. Between vitamin D and vitamin and iron, we're gonna have to take supplements from here on out.
Yeah, we are. Absolutely.
I mean,
From here on
we're
out.
we're tropical, especially with this melanin. We
Yes, we are.
need and digest sun. And
Yes,
they
we do.
playing with the sun. They trying to alter the sun. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
Lord, you want to block the sun and
Yeah,
play
create
games with the
China
sun
want to
and
create a new sun and launch it and see what it do, or whatever it is they experimenting with. But yeah, that we are walking experiments to the elite at this point, and I hope most people realize that. So your best effort on ground level to do whatever it is to maintain a healthy lifestyle with, making better food choices and exercising and taking supplements and things like that are they're not even, a passive, oh, I should. It's a you
it's
have
I
to.
must. It's a,
It's a
it's a
must.
must. Hey Carol, Miss Renfro, traveling. Where you at? Mexico watching my show? So with that in mind, I think it's important that because there is such great hunger in the country, that that's part of that experimental group as well because they don't have access to either the grocery stores that don't carry as much of these items.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
so in this day and age where we have food that's not accessible or affordable, it's a shame that people are still that in this United States of America are still hungry.
Hungry doesn't I mean, it makes sense what, rich people don't. So yesterday, speaking of, I'm at Trader Joe's. I went to Trader Joe's. I had to get out because I just got home and I needed to grab a few items. And the cashier, I found some hash browns, right? Remember we talked about hash browns a few weeks back. And the
Winko.
cashier made the reference that they were out of stock and corporate just got back in, and how Trader Joe's made a record profit in 2021, like never before. And I was like, well, look at how expensive our food is now. And he was like, well, what did he say? I don't remember, but all I know is he didn't make the correlation that corporate profit and greed is at the brunt of most of the stuff that you're talking about,
That's right.
even with the
Okay.
GMO,
So he was actually proud of
with
the company in a way, like, oh, they made a lot of money. Is that what
yeah,
he was like?
exactly. Exactly. He was proud of the company, and I'm like, that's because they're gouging the public uh in prices to make that record profit. And he just was like quiet. And I was like,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
stuck.
hell no. Yeah, he was stuck. Like he didn't put the two plus two together. And a lot of people aren't putting two plus two together. And that's beyond my comprehension.
Mine too. It is. So, and with that happening, we have statistically people of color, households of color, single mothers, single fathers, um, have the biggest problem school age kids as it pertains
Right.
to the hunger crises.
And they
So
throw
I,
too much food away.
oh my goodness, and so I think they're taking advantage of that as well, because that's the excuse to now genetically alter the food because we need mass
It's safe.
production because we got all
Right.
these hungry people and this
But they
demand
still
on
ain't feeding the
food.
hungry people.
but they still aren't feeding the hungry
No, they're
people.
not.
What do they call them? The insecurity people,
They,
the
you're
insecure.
the food insecure. I'm
So I
stupid.
want to say to the listeners, I think it's important that you are mindful and considerate this time of year. People are hungry, stomachs are growling, people can't afford to pay their bills, people are stressing over this Christmas season. And let's get into that.
Hmm.
People don't even know where their next meal is coming from here in America.
Hmm. Right.
And so I think we need to be mindful and purposeful when you think about helping the community, because that's all we can do is really help each other. Thus, let's
Right.
get it together,
Right.
is help the community.
Help the
So
community.
stop, don't be, we don't need to see all your food and plates and all that stuff over social media all the time. I mean, I'm a foodie, so I get why I do it. I mean, it's purposeful. But I
Right.
mean, your waste. You know what I'm saying? Be mindful that people are going through things, and so you just want to be kind. You want to be
Yes.
considerate, and maybe
Absolutely.
do something to help the community out. And so, one of the things that I wrote down when I was talking about this, what can you do when you know all
Hmm.
this food is actually more harmful in many cases than good for you?
Hmm.
You can start by doing plant-based meats. I know that's difficult for us because we're looking at texture and we have to get used to certain things.
Right.
But Gardein, Boca, and Beyond Meat have done a phenomenal job on a lot of foods that
Mm.
that are plant-based, and they're in your local grocery stores.
Beyond meat.
Beyond Meat and
Okay.
Boca, and they're
Yeah.
saying that you could spare 24 animals a year per person if you
Hmm.
did some plant-based foods in your diet.
I
You
do.
heard it first.
Yep. I absolutely do. I do plant-based sausage. I don't eat like regular sausage. I buy the Morningstar
Morningstar.
plant-based sausages. Love them. I can't get my
Yeah.
family on board,
Well,
but I've been doing
when
it
they
for
start
well
growing
over a year.
a fifth toe, a sixth toe, they're gonna be like, okay, well, what were we talking about?
I
What
know.
kind of plant-based foods? Okay, and if you don't want to do the plant-based food, then eat less meat.
Yes,
Start
eat
with
less meat.
eating less meat. They've always told us the one thing that the FDA was pretty accurate on is that your portion of meat does not have to, it should be smaller than your portion of vegetables and fruits.
Vegetables and fruits. Yep.
That still stands true, okay?
Yes, it does. And
So
you don't need one with every meal. You don't need meat with every meal.
you don't, honey. My sides was my Thanksgiving, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
I love it.
Um, support initiatives that raise awareness because
Yes.
people who raise awareness are ostracized. They're
Mm-hmm.
told they're lying, or they're found somewhere floating in a river in a box at the bottom of Lake Mead. You got to be
Mm-hmm.
careful so support people who tell you the truth about
Right.
inhumane and non-sustainable foods, and the way that they're doing these productions and things like that. Be supportive. You can support them financially. You can support them by participating in some of the initiatives they have, because these are the people that are actually going to go to your lawmakers.
Mm.
So that's the
Okay.
other thing you can do. You can also, this is huge, and this is shout out to E. Carice once again and Hot 702.5 FM. Support your independent media.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Support, please, because they're the ones that are bringing you the real because they're not being stifled by sponsorship that's saying, oh, you can't talk about that. So I'm going to pull back my sponsorship and then shut your whole thing down. And y'all watching it happen right before your eyes right now. So you
You are.
understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we ain't gonna go into that because we have other
Right.
shows on Hot 702.5 that talk
Absolutely. That
about,
talks about all that stuff.
they tell you about what's going on in Hollywood, and they tell you the truth, because you need to support independent media that do
Yes,
not
you
have
do.
to dance to the puppets, so
Yes.
they are able to get you the truth, at least some quality information,
Right.
so you can make your
Absolutely.
own judgment. I
Hmm.
can't say that enough. Support your independent medias.
Yes.
It's a lot of
Yes.
podcasters out here. It's a lot of radio stations out here that are independent, and they're shooting you good information. Okay, so that's huge. Um, and then, there's petitions, stay informed, reduce waste.
Right.
So we don't have to make these humongous dinners, guys. You know what I'm saying? Some of these grandmas, I love them to death. I love my grandmas to death. I am a grandma. But I'm only going to make enough at this point of what I think my family needs. I'm
Okay.
not finna make 15 dishes. I don't need 5 meats for Thanksgiving or for Christmas.
Right. Right. What's that
Roast, chicken,
horrible?
ribs. You know what I'm saying? Turkey. You don't have, so reduce
I
waste.
recently heard of was it Tradurkit or Tradurkit or something? Something crazy where they wrap turkey and chicken and duck together. They wrap it all together and
That
call it.
sound greasy.
It
Because duck
sounds
is
terrible.
greasy.
I don't. It sounds just terrible as a whole. I mean, as a freaking whole. But also
Yeah.
I know there are restaurants in Sacramento that if you give your leftovers to the homeless that are, because the homeless population is growing leaps and bounds, right? I'm sure you all see it everywhere. If you give your leftovers to the homeless, they will give you credits on your bill for giving your homeless your leftovers.
Okay. All
I
right.
know that there are some Sacramento restaurants that are doing that. I've seen that. I don't know where else they might be doing that, but I've seen it in Sacramento.
Okay. Well, I think that's a food program that, listen up, restaurants, that you might want to adopt. I know
Hmm.
there are a lot that do participate in food programs. Shout out to
Right.
Sprouts for providing food to
Right.
Las Vegas. There find you can
Yeah,
find quite a few other programs like that.
and Sprouts, I think, from my understanding, and Winco, from my understanding, tend to try to go to local farmers, try to support local farmers for their produce that they bring to the public.
Good stuff. That's good stuff. Um, Vote smart. Don't just vote. Vote smart. These are things that we're doing to affect our communities. Eat local, save water, and at the end of the day, just shop wisely. If we have not
Right.
told you anything else, we have talked about shopping wisely, looking at content. Many people have not stopped to look and read what's in the food, but
Hmm.
sometimes you can see a consistency of things that you shouldn't be eating. And so just shop wisely. Um,
Read your labels. Look at your
Read your
labels.
labels.
If you got like 1,000 things and all it said on the front was tomatoes, please put that back on the shelf.
Food coloring and toxin
Right.
this and toxin that and carcinogen this.
Hmm.
So with that, and I just want to say again that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is allowing these producers to not have to expose to us that these are GMO foods. And
Yeah,
so they're
we
winning
voted
in
for it
court.
a long time ago.
They're winning in court because they're pretty much saying that genetically altered food it doesn't have nearly as many risks or is not any more risky than traditionally grown food. And they sound crazy. That sounds
Right.
absolutely ridiculously
Right.
crazy to me that you would
Right.
tell me that by injecting different DNA into something else and altering its original material is
Right.
equally or could be possibly better than traditionally grown food. Y'all crazy. So
Crazy. Right.
that's a big lie, and we're guinea pigs in more than one way
Right.
to the government, okay, and to big business. But again, when I say be thoughtful, lack of hunger or lack of food affects health, well-being, and quality of life.
Right.
So now we're going into this part of the year where it gets really dark for a lot of people. They're
Right.
missing loved ones. They are grappling with a pandemic and now inflation and then recession. Okay,
Mhm.
so that is affecting people's mental health. It's dark outside
Yes, it
earlier,
is. Early.
which gives the
Way.
body indication that we should be going to sleep, which then can send mixed messages to your mind, and it could
Mhm.
it be a breeding ground for depression.
Depression. Absolutely.
So we went
Absolutely.
pandemic, inflation, recession, depression.
Hmm. Right.
And so be kind. That's all I can say. Be patient. Be patient with the workers. Be patient with people who you have to interact with as they are going to work every day. Because here's what I'm hearing. Right now, consumers are going to be spending an average of $832 in gifts, decorations, food, and holiday items. That's $1,000.
Yeah, it is. Easy.
You haven't even touched really gifts for family members out of that $832. And as of September, inflation went up 8.2% from 1 year ago. That was just 2 months ago, guys, 3 months ago. And so many retailers like Walmart and Nike have a surplus in inventory, and their hiring for seasonal workers is down.
That's interesting.
So when you go into these grocery stores, I went into a store, can't remember exactly where I was. I might have been in Cleveland. I can't remember. That was completely automated. There was no workers. No one worker was scanning anything. And I'm thinking, well, shoot, I ought to just take my basket right on out this door. Hell.
You already know. That self-checkout is a benefit to detriment. A benefit to some, a detriment to others.
If you're smart and hungry.
Excuse me.
Y'all know it's comedy, right? Y'all know J9 is a comedian, right?
Yes, she is.
So be kind. There's low-income families. There are single-family homes. There are kids going to school that are hungry. And so we just want to be considerate. Like Keys Royalty House of Love says, being kind costs us nothing, and it doesn't. Being kind also means being patient. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're right. rush, but this isn't a rush time.
Yeah. Well, what are you rushing to?
What are you rushing for? Okay. And so it's a shame, but there's a lot of vulnerable people out here, and they're not targeting the root cause when they're looking at hunger, because the root cause has a lot more. It's a lot bigger than being hungry. It's about the community. It's about opportunities and discrimination and housing and education. It's all these other things that we need them to address. So it really is a shame that nobody should be hungry, but we need to be very clear that don't max yourself out while this holiday is upon us. Don't do it.
1,000%.
Lower your anxiety by lowering your expectations, honey.
Right. And communicate it up front. Let folks know, look, I mean, and I can assure you 90% of adults, they're going to understand. They will absolutely understand. The children, you may have to have a gentle conversation with them so they really get it. And it needs to be, they need to be realistic. And it needs to be a real conversation with them.
Oh, real conversation.
So
totally
you're
agree.
not going into right now you're probably experiencing anxiety because you're wondering how you gonna get all this stuff for everybody and how you gonna make it happen and how many credit cards you got to run up and all that extra stuff. How deep in debt do you have to go to make people happy that you've probably made happy year round
Hello.
anyway? It showed that you appreciated and you loved year round.
Bottom line.
Already.
So here's the food for thought. Do not dip into your savings. Don't max out your credit cards. Don't get involved in too many buy now, pay laters. Don't open no new credit. And unless these are low interest, interest-free type of things that buy now and credit cards, don't even think about it. Cover your home expenses first.
Right.
Make sure your home expenses are taken care of. Look for sales and promotions. You might want to start doing a little debt consolidation, because if we are rolling into the meat of the recession that they say we are, because we know we're there, but if we're rolling into the meat of it, the heart of it, you might want to look at consolidating, paying down things. These are things I had to consider for myself. Prepare for financial insecurities by paying down your debt, delaying big ticket items. You might not need a car right now, not a new one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Unless you can afford it. You might want to allocate more to your savings, and you might even want to talk to a financial advisor, which is something I did not do up front. I had to do it at the back end. Go talk to your banker. They have financial advisors right there in your bank institutions that will take time to tell you, hey, here's a portfolio for you.
Right.
These are real things that you might want to look at when you start thinking about this anxiety of Christmas and this anxiety of
Hmm.
coming into the winter time where you should be gathering your nuts and sitting your ass down.
That's right. That is right. Hibernation season is upon us. So,
So,
prepare to
um,
hibernate comfortably and not in anxiety.
yeah, you
Because,
can't, you're just one person. If one
yeah,
person in each
right.
household gets
Absolutely.
a handle on your mental and
Hmm.
stop stressing yourself out thinking you need to accommodate everybody and that you need to go into this debt trying to make one day happen. You know what
Right.
I'm
One
saying?
day.
And small things are appreciative. Think about kid appropriate things. You know, all the kids that are under one, honey, the dollar store works fine.
Yes, it do.
Find promotions, find the
Right.
sales. Again, Nike, Walmart, a lot of these stores have surplus. They're going to have to do something with these products that they overspent, that they
Right.
over, you know what I mean? They have a lot of surplus on hand because they expected more shopping to happen, and there was a pullback.
I actually read something too online about how people, they're like before Black Friday, they
Mm.
were having all these sales, realtors were having all these sales, and their prices, people paid really um, rolled back prices for stuff. And then when the Black Friday stuff started coming out and the holiday pricing, they noticed that a lot of the stuff was even more. The sale price was more than the price they had previously a month ago than right now during this season. So they're still like
They're still
sneakily
gouging.
trying to
Yeah, they're still
find a
playing
way
with you.
to get
Yeah,
it out you.
that's right.
So be
So be
cognizant.
cognizant of what it is you're buying.
Right,
If the sale is a value, especially if it's a
right,
big ticket item, what the price was before. Don't be afraid to price. Um, don't be afraid to price match. A lot of
right.
stores price match,
Hmm.
especially some of these like Office Depot and Walmart. They will price match. Show them the prices. So take the edge off.
Yeah,
Breathe. Don't buy into this Christmas hype that you feel like you need to go in debt because tax season isn't until the end of January, baby. And you probably
right,
should be thinking about doing something different with your taxes this year instead of paying off all the debt you made for this one day.
right. Absolutely. And
So,
check your receipts because I have noticed
how about
the
that?
sign today. I went to the grocery store and picked up some juice and it was 2 for 6. Rang it up, looked at my receipt, and it was the regular price. I was like, "Okay." And I put in
Check
my
your
rewards card.
receipts.
So it should have took the cost off automatically, but it didn't. So I had to go to customer service and get my money back. So they're
Give me my
still
bread.
checking it, right? My mom does it all the time, girl. She will check, she
She
will
is receipt
stand there
checker.
before she walk off and look at her receipt and be, yeah, check your receipts.
So, thank you for listening. We have come to the end of the
Oh
show.
yeah,
We appreciate
right.
all the listeners. We will be
Much
right back here
love.
next Thursday, same place, same time. Jesse should be in studio.
Yeah, I should
Okay.
be feeling a lot better. I
I
should be
send,
100% by next week.
all right.
100%.
We send love and blessings. We send restoration and peace amongst all of our listeners and those that
Yes,
are not
yes,
even listening.
yes, yes,
Thank you for
yes.
tuning in.
You sending
And
peace, love,
we,
and prosperity and protection to all.
and good night.
Oh, and good night. You got this?
I do.
Hey, Tawana. Uh-oh. Let me go.